Okay, welcome to the lesson on forms of energy. All energy falls into two categories: potential energy, which is stored energy, and energy of position, which we've just learned about, and kinetic energy, the motion of waves, electrons, atoms, molecules, and substances. There are several forms of energy which fall under the category of either being potential or kinetic. So, different forms of potential energy include chemical energy, nuclear, gravitational, elastic potential, electric potential, and magnetic potential. Examples of kinetic energy include radiant, electrical, mechanical, sound, and thermal. We're going to take a look at each one in more detail. So, forms of potential energy. One, chemical energy is stored in the bonds of atoms and molecules. So examples include matches, digestion, or batteries. Chemical energy, anything that is made up of molecules or atoms has some form of chemical energy that can be released. Nuclear energy is specifically the energy stored in the nucleus of an atom, the energy that holds the nucleus together. So an example is breaking down uranium. So if you break apart the nucleus of an atom, there's a tremendous amount of energy that is released. Gravitational energy, the energy of place or position. The higher an object is held, the more gravitational energy it has. So an example is this pot. This pot is held higher than this pot. So this one has more gravitational potential energy because it's going to hit the ground with more force. So it's got more energy. Elastic potential, this is the energy stored in a compressed or stretched object. Examples include a tennis racket being pushed back by a ball, a stretched elastic band, a compressed spring, the soles of your shoes, or a tennis ball striking the ground. Electric potential energy is the energy stored in a battery. So when a battery is disconnected from a circuit, it's only potential energy because it has electrons that could move, but they're not moving yet. Once the electrons start moving and the circuit is connected to the battery, then all that potential energy turns into moving electrons. Magnetic potential, so a compass needle that is prevented from moving, when it's released, it will move as a result of the Earth's magnetic field. Forms of kinetic energy. One, radiant, electromagnetic energy that travels in waves like light. So this is energy that travels in the form of waves through air or void space. And an example is visible light. Anything on the electromagnetic spectrum is an example of radiant energy. Electrical energy is the movement of electrons. So once electrons start flowing and moving through a circuit, you have electrical energy. An example is any electrical device that's connected to a cord or an electrical energy source is an example of electrical energy, so like a lamp or a computer. Mechanical energy is the movement of a substance from one place to another. So, for example, riding a bike is an example of mechanical energy. Anytime an object moves from one place to another, you have mechanical energy. Sound energy is caused by the movement of air particles. Air molecules in the air vibrate back and forth and cause sound waves to be produced. So that's an example of kinetic energy. So an example would be a bell being rung. Thermal energy is the vibration or movement of atoms and molecules. So another term for it is heat energy. So for example, a stove or boiling water on a stove is an example of thermal energy. Anything that has warmth to it will have some form of thermal energy. So we're going to go through some examples. I want you to think about what type of energy is in each example. So in this one, you have a bunch of musical instruments, so that would be sound energy. Here you have a chemical reaction, so you have chemical energy. You have a light bulb here, so that would be light or radiant energy. A TV can have both sound energy and light energy or radiant energy. This is a nuclear bomb, which is an example of nuclear energy. Gears moving back and forth is an example of mechanical energy. A flashlight is an example of light energy. Some devices have more than one form of energy. Sometimes it's difficult to tell exactly what type it has. Like there's batteries in the flashlight, which can also be chemical energy that's stored in there. Um, the so there's other forms of energy that can also be taking place. A stove warming up some food is an example of thermal energy. And the energy when you digest food and the energy in food is chemical energy. Dropping an object from some height above the ground is gravitational potential energy. And that concludes the presentation. You can finish the rest of the questions from the worksheet and try worksheet 2 as well.